Hey, Jake.
Hey, we're a little late getting this one out.
Yeah, I was sick.
Yeah.
And
The dreaded migraine.
Migraine, but yeah. Oh, I think I had a cold. I think I had a fever.
Blood pumping out of your anus.
Yes. Did you have that too?
Yes, it's still pitter-pattering across my floor and walls. Just as I sit here, I can't wear pants anymore.
Just a maxi pad.
Yeah. I just let it trickle.
Gross.
I find if I laugh, it really sprays. So I'm going to keep a straight face for this one.
Oh,
this has just gone. I don't know why this went this direction this fast. It's been.
It's the way we roll.
Yeah.
It has been.
Tasteful.
It has been a very long week.
Tasteful guys.
Yep.
You did have
we're known for our tact. Well, I don't know. Is this season 2 now then?
Yeah. Well, we only missed a week. Lots of podcasts miss a week, right?
Yeah.
Our friend Timothy Ketchum wrote me again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he sent me. I was all excited. I was hoping it was going to be another cryptid, but it's a video of a guy playing classical music on glasses like filled with water to different levels. Oh. It was not helpful for the. It was a lovely video.
I mean, how does that happen? Maybe it's the sound of ghosts.
Well, I thought, maybe the guy's dead. maybe at the end of this, there's going to be a big reveal that
it's
he's
like
a ghost.
Tubular Bells, but
now Tubular Bells, super creepy sounding album. But is it only creepy because it was the soundtrack for The Exorcist?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They had a big painting of the album cover from Tubular Bells. At UNBSJ. Do you remember that? No. I used to go visit my ex-girlfriend. I'd go and visit her at her school, and I remember that painting of Tubular Bells in the
right. Yeah, I don't remember, but I only went there for like a year and a half. So.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do part 2 Ramirez.
Oh yeah.
Because we never finished. And have you got a cryptid or a tale?
I've got a good tale from beyond. Tale from beyond. The Dietlov Pass.
The Dietlov Pass.
Dietlov Pass. You got to say it like it's a Russian. The Dietlov.
Dietlov.
Named for Igor Dietlov, who was the group leader involved.
Oh, didn't lead them very well.
No, it didn't go well. Crazy Dietlov.
Well, do you want to go first, and then I'll finish off with the capture of Richard Ramirez?
Well, yeah, I feel like it's up to you. I was looking for that Timothy Ketchum video so I could play it for you because it's
it's something.
Yeah, here we go. You ready? I'm gonna play it right into the thing. Here, we'll get to the part where this guy's playing this on little glasses.
Oh, it's very loud.
Is it? Piercing. Anyway, thanks, Timothy. You know that song.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that one's called.
Yeah.
Oh, remember last week I couldn't remember the O word.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Corrections Corner.
Officious.
Officious.
He was officious and oafish. Terrible combo.
All right. So, maybe I'll do Ramirez. We'll just finish up Ramirez.
Yeah, finish up on the Dietlov Pass because I've got to finish my beer.
Yeah, and it's new. Yeah,
it's a new thing.
Okay, so we'll pick up August
where
6th.
we left off.
Yeah,
August 6th, 1985.
I'm glad you remembered the year because I had completely forgotten.
Yes. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm on my. Oh dear. I'm on my. I was on the cord for my headphones.
Oh, you know how just to interrupt you before we even get started. You know how when you have, I think it's like 20,000 listeners per episode, you can advertise on your podcast?
Yeah.
Well, can we just advertise our own stuff on this podcast?
Well, oh yeah, totally. It's just, I mean,
What's your jewelry company called?
Oh, it's gone.
Bankrupt.
I quit. I quit that because I took on like a real job.
Oh, so no more pewter presents for me.
Well, I mean, you might get some because I've got lots of pewter left over.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, Dan, do you have any business ideas that you don't know what to do with or how to raise money and find investment?
Well, yes, I do, Jake. I just wish I had an outlet for which I could put it on.
Well, lucky day it is for you. I've already almost finished my beer. If you go to liftoffcapital.com, you can list your business idea and we'll help find investors to invest in your business. I'm not very good at this. I haven't written a script. Liftoffcapital.com.
Wait a second.
This episode brought to you.
Any old entrepreneur can just go online and list their product?
Everything from a local bakery to the design for the next space shuttle engine. Listed on liftoffcapital.com and find your match. Think of us as a dating service for entrepreneurs and investors. That felt pretty well practiced. That was smooth. Anyway,
how much does it cost, though? There must be some incentive to join.
Well, interesting you should ask. Our first 1,000 customers are free.
Oh,
Investors are always free. And entrepreneurs, if you're in our first 1,000, free for life. So liftoffcapital.com.
Goodness. You know I love me a free treat.
Maybe I shouldn't advertise on this platform. How many listeners do we have?
344.
Oh, we're so close to 350. Can you guys share this episode? I know it started with anal bleeding and then got worse, but
yeah.
Could you do us a solid and share this one around, because we need we're so close to 20,000 per episode.
At this rate, I mean, this will be the longest running podcast if we wait until we have 20,000.
We may be the longest running podcast that never reached 20,000 listeners.
That never reached 350 listeners.
Yeah.
Oops.
Hi. Welcome to the One Foot in the Grave podcast. We just tried to do this.
Gee, I wish there was a way that we could get it. No, it will save it. I've got it. It's fine.
You can stitch them together. You can stitch them together.
Yeah, because I'm just that good.
We had a premature disconnection.
Yeah. Turns out that I shouldn't just leave the mouse hovering over the stop recording button. Especially when I use hand gestures, even though I'm sitting in my studio caravan by myself.
I do that all the time. I do a lot of like animated waving of the hands when I'm talking on the phone, especially. And I realized I must look like Coco, the sign language in Gorilla, like from that episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah,
I'm just hands are everywhere.
Yeah, it's I do it especially when I'm mad, and I even do it in the car, and it probably looks like I'm swatting a fly or something.
Or angrily masturbating. Is that guy punching himself over and over again in the crotch? No, he's gesticulating.
Yeah. All right. Set the scene. August 6th, 1985. So, Ramirez.
I was going to play some 80s music, but I couldn't think of anything, so I went directly to porn music. Chicka waka, chicka waka.
I broke into the home of Chris Virginia Peterson. He was sitting in his bed, and I was not. Okay.
This is why I do the supernatural ones. I find it really hard to be tactful, and when we're describing like true crime, there are
Chris was shot to death, and he bled out all over the place.
Too bad for your mama. No, I like it's horrible, right, for the families, and then but I can't help myself. I'm just cynical asshole.
First of all, the families are not listening to this podcast.
Let's hope, and if they do, I apologize.
Well, if they do, they're asking for problems. Like, oh, look, I'm really upset about the things that my brother / whatever did, or that my person was murdered, blah, blah, blah. True crime podcasts. I'm going to give that a go.
We should put in trigger. Do you ever listen to Case File? That guy's so serious. And he does these trigger warnings. He's like, the following episode contains scenes of violence. Call the crisis hotline if you feel stressed. Whatever. Our trigger warning should be, we're politically incorrect. We don't like murder. We're not fans of it, but we're going to make inappropriate jokes. So if you're going to be triggered by that, fuck off.
It's 100% going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flick it off.
Yeah, fuck off. And
this podcast is free, and it's also free to leave.
Yes. However, if you have a sense of humor, please share our podcast with other people with a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to get on the new and noteworthy.
It's never going to happen. I've given up.
It's not new anymore. Is there an old and noteworthy?
There's the charts. We can somehow try to place in the top 200.
That's never going to happen.
Never. I mean, my favorite murder is like number 28.
I know, but it's probably the number one true crime podcast. You know what I mean?
There's one. Teacher's
There's
Pet,
Criminal.
I believe.
Oh yeah, Teacher's Pet. I don't listen to that one. I started it and I was like, man, not for me. Too serious.
Yeah.
There's Criminal with Phoebe Judge. I'm Phoebe Judge, and this is Criminal. And she's also quite serious, but it's a good podcast.
No,
anyway, Ramirez.
August 6th,
Bad
1985.
Teeth. We'll refresh you.
Real, yeah.
He's a Satanist. He stinks, and he has terrible teeth.
So he crept into the bedroom of Chris and Virginia Peterson. He startled Virginia. She was 27, so he shot her in the face. He shot Chris in the temple, but that wasn't enough. Chris is badass, so he fought back and avoided being shot 2 more times. Then Ramirez fled the scene.
Wow.
I know, I was like, yeah, get him.
Except he just shot your wife in the face.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Still not a good day. Not a good day.
I don't know if she died. It would take more research.
Well, he was shooting with a .22, right? He had a small caliber gun. Because this is not the first person he shot that survived, is it?
No. He really should have changed his weapon of choice, I believe.
Or just stopped killing people.
Well, I mean, that's the easy way. Some things are hard, and some things are easy. All right, so on August 8th, 2 days later, Sakina Abowith. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry.
Abowithy.
No E.
I just made that up. I don't know.
Oh. Her husband, Alias. So he went into the master bedroom. Ramirez went into the master bedroom at around 2:30. He killed Alias in his sleep. Then he handcuffed and beat Sakina and dragged her around the house looking for valuables. Then he raped and sodomized her. And then he made her swear on Satan that she wouldn't scream. At this stage, their 3-year-old son entered the room. Being the nice guy that he is, Ramirez didn't kill the kid, but just tied him up and left after raping the kid's mother.
So he followed as specified in the Satanist's code.
Yeah. He doesn't break the rules.
No.
Then the mother basically untied the kid and sent him next door to get help from the neighbors. Right. On August 18th, 1985, Peter and Barbara Pan. Peter Pan. Crazy.
He's in Never Never Land now.
I don't know. Yes, he is. So Peter was 66 and Barbara was 62. Ramirez shot Peter in the temple and killed him. Barbara was beaten and sexually assaulted. Then she was shot in the head and left for dead. He drew a pentagram and the words Jack the Knife on the wall in lipstick.
And then he crucified Tinkerbell upside down on his way out of the house.
Pulled her wings off. And then
these are not things that we should be laughing at, these poor people, but like I said, we're tactless.
And Peter Pan, come on. Yeah.
He probably took it all his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
He probably got it. Yeah, had his balls broken all his life. Yeah.
I don't think it was anything to do with why Ramirez targeted him, though.
No, I doubt it. Unless he had a hook for a hand.
Oh, TikTok.
Yeah.
So eventually some information was leaked to the press, mainly about some key evidence that they were finding at these scenes.
Right.
And Ramirez took his shoes off and threw them over the Golden Gate Bridge because they had found a lot of these shoe prints in garden beds and stuff like that, and on that chick's face. So then, on the 24th of August, he traveled 76 miles south of LA.
I'll tell you what, there are easier ways to get rid of a pair of shoes, and less conspicuous ways. If you wanted to get caught, what you should do is walk out to the middle of the Golden State Bridge, take off your shoes, throw them off the side, and then walk home in your socks.
Yeah. No one would think that's suspect.
Yeah. Guess he was tired of those Nikes.
Yeah.
There's like right now they have that I don't even know what the guy's name is, the football player who first took a knee during the national anthem. Nike is now sponsoring him, not because Nike gives a shit about Black Lives Matter or human rights in any way, since they run sweatshops in China, but because they want to look like they're current. So all these people who disagree with taking a knee during the national anthem are burning their sneakers, or maybe throwing them off the Golden Gate Bridge. Maybe somewhere down there they'll land on Ramirez's sneakers.
Circle of shoes.
The circle of shoes. Yeah.
I think the issue that they shouldn't be burning their shoes and chucking them away, but they should just be buying knockoff ones from China.
Yeah, I mean, they're the same shoes. We're obviously not going to get a Nike sponsorship. Hi. Yeah. These ones come from the factory next door to the Nike factory in China with all the same workers.
Well, actually, it's probably the same factory.
It's probably the same factory.
They're just smuggled out or whatever. So he failed to break into a house when he was traveling. But then eventually he broke into the house of Bill Cans, who was 30, and Erez Erickson, who was 29. He broke through the back door. I assume one of those sliding doors that he loved to break into.
Yeah.
And he shot Bill 3 times in the head. And he told Inez he was the Night Stalker and told her to swear she loved Satan. Then he raped and sodomized her, demanded cash and jewelry, making her swear on Satan that there was no more. He told her to tell everybody that the Night Stalker was here. Surprisingly,
what would you do if somebody told you to swear you loved Satan? I don't think I would do it.
With a gun to my head?
Yeah, I'd be like, he's probably going to kill me anyway. I'm not going to... My last words aren't going to be, oh, I love Satan, by the way.
Yeah.
I'd be like, how about this? You brush your teeth and maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah. Say Colgate. Brought to you by Colgate toothpaste. The Dad and I have had this conversation where if he was ever captured by the Taliban or whatever, and they were doing one of those beheading videos, and they make you say, I love Allah or whatever.
Yeah.
In
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. He said, look, Jesus will understand if I say that. He's not going to, it's not going to be the deciding moment for me. So I'm going to say it, but it's going to be followed by a big gesticulated wink.
just the head.
Yeah. Well, no, but he'll say it and then he'll go, a wink. So anyway, she...
Apologies to all our Muslim friends who aren't in the...
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't say Muslims. I said the fucking Taliban.
Yeah, but, Allah, it's Allah, God. It's the... I think when you go back, it's the same God. It's just, the different sides of Abraham. Anywho, not material for this podcast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about the Holy Ghost.
Yeah. What do we have in common? We all like falafels. Can we just start there?
Yeah, that topic completely boggles my mind. I don't understand. Anyway, Bill survived his injuries. She was able to give a very good detailed description to the police of what he looked like. And the police also found the car that he had stolen to drive to this place. And he got a fingerprint from the rearview mirror. Then, on August 30th, 1985...
They got a print?
Yeah, they got a fingerprint.
And
So,
had he been arrested before for anything?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so now they know who he is.
Well, hold on. This is 1985.
Right, so the computer was really big, and you had to oil it.
Yeah, and when they were matching fingerprints, it went...
We've talked about this before, but when you watch those shows on TV like CSI, and they zoom on the computer, I'm just going to zoom in a picture on my computer right now. This is what it sounds like. Nothing. That made no sound. But on CSI, for some reason, it goes...
Yeah.
And then when you click, it goes... And then the keyboard is...
Yeah.
Fuck off. The computer, if they made that noise, nobody would use computers anymore.
Would.
We'd all go back to maps with magnifying glasses.
And also, like, who doesn't turn off the noises on their iPhone just for the clicking? Like, who wants to have that fucking tick, 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 apart from mom and dad, who don't know if they've hit the button or not.
Yeah.
But,
also, the zoom and enhance cliche, we've discussed it, but there are only so many pixels captured on an image. I don't understand. It's just a lazy writing when they're like, oh, can we make out the license plate? And they're like, I don't know. Maybe if we reverse filter, zoom, enhance, tick. There's the license plate. We've got a partial. No, that's not how it works. Either the camera's big enough or it's not big enough. Anyway, fuck.
Yeah.
Going back to Richard Ramirez's goddamn fingerprint. I'm sorry. 14 minutes into this part 2 of the same podcast.
So he took a fucking bus.
Season 3, he took the bus.
He didn't know, I think because he was dumb, he didn't know that he was becoming very famous and that there were a lot of sketches on of him going through all the newspapers, and he was actually the lead news in all the newspapers that were everywhere. So he saw some cops around the bus terminal because they thought that he was going to try to take the bus and go somewhere because it was 1985. And he skirted past them and he went into a convenience store. But then he was recognized from his sketch by a group of civilians. One of them hit him over the head with a metal bar, and then they chased him and held him down, relentlessly beating him until the police arrived.
They recognized him based on a sketch. And beat him with a metal bar.
Yeah, I mean...
That's a risk. You're taking a risk when you do that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people with bad teeth. Many of them homeless. How many innocent homeless guys got beaten up on the way to finding the Satanist with the bad teeth?
If you beat enough homeless people, eventually you'll find a criminal. Don't beat homeless people.
It's like in Naked Gun. What was the guy's name? Not Liam Neeson.
O.J. Simpson.
Well, he was in that. Yep. Yeah. But I can't remember the cop's name. He's Canadian, but I think he just passed away.
He's dead.
At one point, they gave him an award for killing the most drug dealers, and then he says, "Well, to be honest with you, the last 3 I backed over with my car. I was just lucky they turned out to be drug dealers."
Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah. He's awesome.
So on July 22nd, 1988, so he was
So we're 3 years later.
Yeah, he was incarcerated for quite some time. That's when his trial started.
Wait a minute. So he was caught in 85 because he was But then 3 years later.
Yeah. So in 1988, they started his thing. Anyway, he held up his palm. First day of trial. You want to make a good impression, right?
You want, yeah.
Nice tie.
They give you the Bible.
Yeah.
They give you your option.
Not old Ramirez. Ramirez raised his hand with a pentagram on his palm and said, "Hail Satan." He was then overheard in jail, plotting.
Guilty or not guilty? What was the eventual verdict?
He got off. Charges.
I figured. I don't even think Johnny Cochran could have worked his magic on that one. Although, having said that, this day and age, you're a Satanist. That you're a victim. You
Yeah.
play the victim card.
You're a minority.
I'm misunderstood.
You probably could plead insanity, really.
Maybe. I don't know. Hail Satan at the beginning of your trial seems excessive.
Yeah, it's a kind of a nail in your coffin, isn't it? What was I saying? I don't know. Blah blah blah. Right. So he was overheard talking about how he was going to kill the prosecutor with a gun that he was going to smuggle in. So they put metal detectors installed. They installed metal detectors through the. It blows my mind that there wasn't already metal
detectors. Yeah.
Medical detectors. Metal detectors. Yeah, no, he didn't see anything medical. Then, this is kind of crazy. One of the jurors, whose name was Phyllis Singletary, I can't read my own writing. I'm sorry, Phyllis. Well, anyway, she's dead. She was shot to death in her apartment, which made the rest of the jury super anxious because they thought that potentially that there was a connection and Ramirez had people on the outside. But
the other Satanists.
Yeah, the Satanist movement. No, it's turned out that it was her boyfriend that killed her, and he had also
coincidentally
killed himself.
A Satanist.
Yeah,
from a different sect.
Yeah,
Ramirez liked the horns. This guy liked the tail. It was they were never meant to be.
That actually, he was a Satanist. He
Satanist.
He really liked the feel of soft sheets upon his skin.
I'm a Satanist. I'm a Santaist. I worship Santa Claus. And the
anyway,
8 reindeer.
Guy...
What about Rudolph? Rudolph doesn't exist!
No, it's a widely misconception that Rudolph actually had a red shining nose.
That's just a children's story.
Everyone knows he had shining red eyes and was, in fact, Beelzebub.
He was a Santaist.
Yeah. So her boyfriend killed himself with the same gun in a hotel later on that day. So then, on September 20th, 1989, Ramirez was convicted of all charges. So all charges were 13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, 14 burglaries. 13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, 14 burglaries.
That's distasteful. Sorry. It was a piece of shit, though.
He was he was gross.
I just feel bad for his victims. We make light of this because it's so horrendous that if you can make light of this, you are one of us. And that is to say a bit of a sociopath with a strong sense of humor.
A horrible human being.
But you go through, I think part of it is our jobs. You, on a daily basis, have to kill people's beloved pets. So if you don't develop, graveyard humor, you're never going to get through the day. And similarly, we have, I have people hit by trains and, all kinds of horrendous trauma. And if you can't laugh about it, you can cry about it, but the end result is the exact same. So you might as well laugh about it, and that's kind of
and I, and probably most of the people who listen to this podcast are like M&Ms in the sun.
Like the rapper?
Crispy and jaded and hard on the outside, but all soft and gooey on the inside.
That's why he chose the name Eminem, because he's on the outside he's hard as fuck. But on the inside, he's as sweet as can be.
He just
so
loves
sweet
his
he
little
can be
girl.
diabetes.
Yeah. Oh, Eminem.
He loves his baby mama.
No.
Is that no?
No.
That's not a thing, is it?
Fuck you. What's her name?
Eminem? Jay Mathers?
No. Debbie. In that song, his big one that came out when we were in high school.
I'm sorry, I don't really listen to Eminem. Oh, but 8 Mile. I remember there's vomit on his sweater already. Mum's spaghetti.
Yeah.
He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs.
We don't. We don't. That's enough. We don't have the rights to the song.
We don't have the rights to that song.
So on November 7th, 1989, he was sentenced to die in the gas chamber in California, when he was reported to say, "Big deal. Death always went with the territory. See y'all in Disneyland." He's stupid.
That guy's crazy.
Not even crazy, just dumb. Like I deal with some fucking stupid people in life.
Well, pretty soon I'll be upside down, ankle deep in sewage, with my favorite buddy, Satan.
Yeah.
It'll be roasting my feet with a hot poker for eternity, and I can't wait.
I'll be on the end of the old human centipede.
I don't know what I like better, the taste of shit or the hot poker on my toes. But it's going to go on for a long time, because you literally can't die.
I don't know what I like better, the taste of shit or the hot poker on my toes.
There are a lot of good things about being a Satanist. One of them is that you're guaranteed to have lung full of sewage for eternity.
So the Ramirez trial was the most expensive trial in California history.
It doesn't seem like they needed to spend much. When he hailed Satan at the beginning of the trial, they should have said, you know what, cut back the budget. He's going to lose. There's no question.
Right? I mean, the judicial system is so fucking stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Look, he clearly did this. Just don't even... Guilty, right? All the jurors would be like, yeah, he's guilty.
Yeah, he's guilty.
Send him off. Home. Lady's like, I got an appointment. My boyfriend's coming over. See, all of this could have been saved. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? It was $1.8 million to do this for the government or whatever, which is $3.6 million in today's money. But the thing is that this rotten tooth fuckwit developed a fan base of what I've described as semi or full dev morons who would write him letters or visit him. And then from 1985, Doreen Irie, I don't know, Leoy? I can't read my writing. Speaking of half-dev morons, wrote him about 75 letters during his incarceration. Why are you calling me? I'm just going to ignore that. They were married on October 3rd, 1996, in the San Quentin State Prison in California. And I've written here, dreams really do come true. She's probably been planning this beautiful wedding since she was 8 years old. Someday my prince will come. She set up her room all in orange and black.
Yeah.
Yeah. They shot.
Hey, for our wedding night, do you mind just wearing a lot of fake blood and bringing a knife?
Yeah.
It really does it for me.
And can you fuck me on a cafeteria table?
I don't think they let them use the cafeteria.
Shock horror. They eventually.
Did he get down on his knees and open the little jewelry box, and inside it is some other prisoner's eyeballs? Eyeballs. Will you do me the honor of accepting these eyeballs?
She thought that he would. Well, this is her thing. So, when he had the death sentence, she said that when he gets the gas chamber, she was going to commit suicide. But then, because of all the appeals process, she found out that he was going to be in his 70s when he was eventually executed.
They wouldn't execute him; he was in California.
And she didn't want to wait, so she left him.
I was really only in this for the attention.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you'd have to be, because stupid people do stupid things. I know,
but that's... I mean, stupid people get out of the car and leave it and drive, and it drives into their garage. You know, that's... I've done that. That's a normal stupid person thing to do. That's... Yeah. We all have Forrest Gump moments.
Like leaving your kid in the car on a hot day.
I don't know. It was so quiet back there. I'm pretty sure most of those are intentional child murder, by the way.
Well, I think the most notorious one that happened recently was... Actually, we should research that.
I just he was just so peaceful back there. I thought I'll close all the windows and the doors and
just let him sleep.
Just let him sleep for 19 hours.
Well, the one that I'm thinking
and I'll check
of,
on him 3 times to make sure he's still breathing.
They Googled. Sorry, this is Sidebar Nation.
How long it takes to die in a hot car?
Yeah, I think they actually didn't get prosecuted for that. Like nothing ever came of it.
That's a thing with our criminal justice system. Okay, I have seen child murderers get no punishment whatsoever when they've clearly done it and there's evidence, but for whatever reason they just don't want to spend the money on taking them to court or whatever. Well, that makes me
the judge
fucking
is like,
insane.
This family has just lost their beloved child, but no,
that judge is a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. I know it's a tough job to be a judge, but some of you are still fucking idiots, just like some doctors are idiots and blah blah blah.
It's not gonna brighten this subject up at all. But right now, I'm watching one of the horses try to eat, and she's got a piece of hay stuck in her front teeth, and
you pulled the tooth out by mistake.
No, that was a back tooth. But she doesn't realize that it's stuck there, and she keeps twitching her lip, trying to suck it up like a little noodle, and she's just sitting. It's really. You can't see it because this is a radio.
Sucks not to have opposable thumbs.
Yeah, it sucks to walk on your fingernails. You fucking stupid animal.
Yeah. Sorry,
anywho,
sucks to be you, Mrs.
Ed. Eventually, Ramirez died of B-cell lymphoma. He also had chronic hepatitis C, which I'm guessing was not treated in death row. No, I don't know. We've had this conversation about whether they would treat people with cancer on death row. There's not a lot
they could do in the 80s for hepatitis C.
Well, what's her face survived.
Lots of people have it and they survive, but eventually you get cancer from it.
And also, it made me think that probably the people that he raped and stuff would have now hep C as well.
Well, they'd have been exposed, but it's low risk. It's usually sharing needles is higher risk. I mean, you do get it from sex, but it's like HIV. It's HIV from sex is like 0.17% transmission rate, right?
But you should still wear protection when you have sex.
Yep. Don't gamble that one. Don't roll those dice.
Yeah, no one wants the HIV or hep C.
Yeah. Better yet, get married and then you just never have sex again.
No.
Then you're totally safe.
True story.
Or get fat. That's been working. That's been working for me.
Get so fat that you can no longer achieve penetration.
I'm so fat that nobody even offers it. So I'm not going to get HIV.
Anyway, that's Ramirez.
Smart living.
Hey, now,
yeah.
I've always thought that because I wear thongs / flip-flops for North Americans, and I go into the city, I'm scared that I'll get hep C just from walking down the street in some of the dodgy areas. Is that a misconception?
I don't know. I don't think you could, unless you stepped on a needle.
Yeah.
It seems unlikely that you're going to get hep C from walking on the beach. Otherwise, everybody's got an excuse for their hep C.
Yeah. Sorry, honey.
Swear, maybe I stepped on a sharp seashell. I guess the clam had hep C. I don't know. You got it from a clam, all right. Anyway, sorry.
in one of my meetings that I just had, I was explaining how everyone currently their biggest complaint is to do with the rosters, and I used the cerebral homunculus, in order to describe that. What I would expect to see from their cerebral homunculus is completely normal human figure, but with a giant roster sticking out of their head. I don't know if it's the first time the cerebral homunculus has been referenced in
terms of telling people to stop
complaining about your fucking roster. You fucking homunculus loving shits. Anyway, I just thought that was that. So this is an educational podcast as well as a true crime, paranormal, and comedy podcast.
All right, I was going to tell you about the Dietlov Pass.
Dietlov.
All right. This takes place in Soviet Union, before the days when it was Russia. So we're talking 1959. And a
The
group
Cold
of
War is the Cold War in place?
it's rather again, I'm not a historian, but this is pre-Vietnam, I think. But
Okay.
yeah, Cold War, after World War II, before the Soviet Union dissolved. So yes. So this is a group of 10 people started out, and they're basically adventurers. They're all in their 20s. They wanted to go skiing in the Ural Mountains, and they were their group leader was this fella. Last name is Igor Dyatlov, and he was 23 years old, and he was going to lead them up into the mountains. The Ural Mountains are pretty remote, and these guys are all like students basically in college, engineering students and stuff. So they take a truck in January 25th. They take a truck to Vizhai, which is a lorry village, which is like where all the trucks sort of stop before going out to the small townships and stuff. Yeah. And then they had to take horses from there, and then they had to hike basically into the mountains where they were going to go skiing. One fella dropped out of the group before they got up into the mountains, Yuri Yudin, and he got really sick, and he said there's some theory that he has a congenital heart defect and has something to do with that. But he got really sick and had to leave the group behind. But the other 9 continued up into the mountains. They were taking, they had diaries, they were doing, they took a lot of pictures. It was like a nature hike in the winter mountains, basically. Yeah. And on February 1st, they started going through this mountain pass, and they were going to make camp on the opposite side, but the weather was getting worse, and there were snowstorms and stuff. And they took some pictures, and you can see, like, you can just barely see the line of people walking. So you knew it was pretty bad. So they decided to make camp, basically. Moving on. So
moving swiftly forward.
Swiftly forward. At some point, around like 10 days later, February 12th, people were expecting these guys to return back. But when they didn't, Yuri Yudin, the guy who'd left the group, started getting very nervous, and they started trying to make plans for going up to search for them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until February 20th that their relatives finally kind of demanded a search and rescue mission go up. And so the army got involved, and there's basically a big search party. On February 25th, the search party found the campsite, and the campsite, when you look at it, there's like it's one of those old triangular tents. So there was 2 women and 7 men, and they were all friends, and they were all staying, I think, just in the one tent. It was kind of this big triangular tent, but the thing was torn apart, and it had collapsed down on itself, and
Yeti. It was the Yeti.
Well, it's one of the theories. So weirdly, they found some footprints in the snow and started following the footprints from the campsite, but there were barefoot footprints. One had a single shoe, and the other foot was bare, and then bare feet on the other guy.
Yeah.
Well, no, they followed these footprints down to the edge of the woods, and there were 2 dead bodies dressed only in their underpants, in the lying at the base of a tree. And the tree, it was clear that they'd been climbing up the tree, and they tried to do something, but they were trying to either make a shelter or something, but they succumbed to hypothermia, I guess is the popular opinion. So they start searching, and they find 3 more bodies between the tree line and the tent, the torn up tent. And of those 3 bodies, one has its skull crushed and one has its ribs crushed. and they're buried in like 5 or 6 feet of snow. But now keep in mind it's like a month later, right? But they could see footprints, so I don't know exactly what's going on with the weather in the story, but the footprints were visible. So the other bodies were found on May 4th under 4 meters of snow in a ravine 75 meters further into the woods from the pine tree where they found the first 2 guys. The last 4 were better dressed, except they were dressed in the clothing that belonged to the first 2 naked guys. The 2 guys in their underwear. And there were signs that of trauma again. So the last 4 bodies were under... I guess I was wrong. The 3 bodies they found earlier were not under a ton of snow, but the last 4 were under like 4 feet of snow. And they had severe injuries. One of them had her ribs crushed, her skull crushed, and her tongue was missing.
Ew. Okay.
Well, and now, so this is later, right? This is one of the women that's found later. And these were, I mean, they were good-looking people, young people. They were in good shape and stuff. So, but they're obviously, they've succumbed to some kind of horrendous trauma. Whether the tongue was scavenged by animals or whether she bit it off at the time of the event, it's hard to know.
Yeah. Well, typically animals would go for the eyes first.
I think her eyes were missing too. I think a lot of their eyes were missing, but they just assumed that was because of animals.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when they started testing these bodies, a lot of the clothing came back with radioactivity, positive. And the coroner decided that 6 of the group members had died of hypothermia and 3 had died of fatal injuries. There were, it didn't talk about how much dose they had from radiation, but there was some, it's hard to know.
Radiation was involved.
Radiation was involved, but only on specific people, not on everybody. Yeah. They determined that the tent had been torn open from within, so I think it had been cut with a knife. They died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal. There was one other note here.
Yeti. Something about the Yeti.
Well, they said that the injuries were too severe to have been caused by a human being because the blows were so severe and the amount of bone damage was too severe.
Right.
So, I guess there are a couple theories. My favorite theory in all of this is that there was an avalanche. That sounds stupid. I mean, first of all, nobody proposed that at the time of the thing. They said they died of a compelling force. Yeah. But, so the reason that I think it's an avalanche, when you look at the tent, it looks like the tent's crushed down. And those injuries, like if she bit her own tongue off and then they got totally buried in the snow, blah blah blah, it would make sense. But I don't know. It just seems like people say, well, why were 2 of them naked? Well, when you get hypothermia, sometimes people feel like they're burning hot and they take off their clothes. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's paradoxical undressing. It's called, but. Anything's possible, or they had their clothes torn off in the avalanche, or they were sleeping in their underwear because it was 2 guys with maybe 2 of them were couples, anyway.
But also, don't, like, when you are dying of hypothermia, don't you take off your clothes and get into the same bed?
Yeah, that too. But I don't think they found those guys' clothes where they found the bodies. The fact that they'd been climbing a tree makes me think like the other team was buried in the snow and that they were climbing a tree looking for the other team members. Yeah. But the things against avalanche, I mean, they found footprints going right from the tent down, and avalanche snow wouldn't really hold footprints. You know what I mean? Well, so there's another theory. There's another possible theory called infrasound, which are sound waves that can cause severe panic attacks in humans. And the way, I can't remember what the mountain's called, Holatachi or Holatakahaki or something. The way the mountain was shaped and the way the wind was blowing, it could have caused discomfort and mental distress in the hikers, somebody claimed. But again, that seems Pretty unlikely.
Fucking extreme.
For 9 of them to go completely bananas, run off into the snow, tear their tent apart, blah blah blah. Maybe one of them did and had a knife, and the other ones just ran away from him. And then, but how did they get their skulls crushed and stuff? Because of the radioactivity, a lot of people talk about military tests, but when you look at it, one of the guys was fucking hell. What was that? Yeah, jeez. One of the guys was he worked in one guy worked in one of the early Soviet missile labs, so that's probably where the radioactivity came from. Hard to know, but there is some theory that they were testing like low-level nuclear weapons on the mountaintops and trying to trigger an avalanche or something like that.
Right.
One of the weird things is that locals from that area described bright lights in the sky for about a month before and after the event. So of course that leaves you with the alien theory, but I say fuck that. That's pretty unlikely too. Anyway, I think the Discovery Channel, which is where I found this story,
of course,
published this story under the title "Russian Yeti: The Killer Lives."
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I always thought the Yeti was supposed to be a tranquil, sort of docile animal, but
in the
not
Himalayas.
according to the Russian Yeti. The killer lives. Yeah, in the Himalayas. Himalayan is like one word that would describe a guy who's getting laid. Himalayan.
Yeah, Himalayan. And
European. Yeah.
European.
Well, Himalayan. Anyway, so it's an unsolved mystery, I guess. But that's it. I don't really have anything.
So the entire
this is not
party
a story
was
that
killed?
goes anywhere. All 9. The one guy who went up to examine the bodies, one guy who was sick and then didn't. He quit early. They brought him back up to look and see if he noticed anything at the campsite that wasn't theirs. And he thought a couple of the sets of skis weren't there, didn't belong to the group, and some sunglasses didn't. So he thought maybe the military had found the bodies before the rescue team had found the bodies, or that the military had somehow been involved. I guess would be the read between the lines kind of thing. But I mean, skull crushing, and it sounds to me like Avalanche, except the footprints don't make sense. I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hard to know.
Yeah.
I just, we're skiers. We've been to BC a lot, and I've seen avalanches, and they're fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I could see, even if it was a small avalanche, but they panicked, or if it was an avalanche that carried some of them away, and the other guys just died of hypothermia looking for them, or didn't have their clothes, or whatever. I don't know. It sounds horrific, whatever happened. But
yeah. If it's bad enough that you bite your fucking tongue off, ugh.
Well, if you got hit by that wall of snow, I mean, you probably could bite your tongue off. Nobody has mentioned the bite your tongue off theory. That's my own theory. I mean, I've seen people bite through their tongue.
There's no reason to remove someone's tongue, like to keep them quiet or anything like that, because that doesn't make you quiet. It just
unless you're a Yeti who happens to love tongue sandwiches.
Yeah, well, taste not, want not.
Yeti want French kiss. Yeti too brutal. Yeti's teeth too sharp. I don't know why the Yeti speaks very English.
Much. It's
that Yeti would
Monster.
speak Russian. A lot of people don't realize the Cookie Monster is a juvenile Yeti. Yeti love cookies.
They get whiter as they age. They start out in a bright turquoise, leading to a darker blue. And then from there,
it's because they're camouflaged in their home environment, floating through the skies. Fuck, I don't know. I'm just making that up. You can say anything about the Yeti because it's all make believe. Yeah, I'm just gonna make up a Yeti fact. Yetis float.
Well, you know what? I bet there is.
Yetis fart helium.
That's how they get up in the mountains.
And after they fart enough, they come down to the ground. They turn white and they mature. They're called the pupae stage.
Yeah, oh my gosh!
Yetis lay eggs. Any fact you want. Yetis have 3 ears.
3 ears?
Yep, 3 ears. Oh. Their belly button is a third ear.
Oh. Those are some fascinating facts about the Yeti.
Well, I'm glad I could help educate our audience, and if you ever get a Yeti fact on Jeopardy, you can thank me.
How many ears does the Yeti have?
Would that be the Russian Yeti or the Turkish Yeti? The Russian Yeti has 3. Turkish Yeti 5.
Wrong. It's what is 3? And
this 3-eared creature is felt to be responsible for the Dyatlov Pass incident. What is the Russian Yeti? That's correct. Other bullshit for 1,000, Alex.
Does Alex Trebek still do Jeopardy?
I certainly hope so, Trebek. I don't know. I don't watch TV. Who watches cable anymore?
No, I said
I watch like Apple TV, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't even watch the news. It just makes me depressed. I can't even watch it.
I don't watch the news because nothing ever happens that I can change.
Well, lots of stuff happens, but you can't change it.
Yeah.
And if there was something, like you live next to a biker gang, if on the news it was like there's a hostage situation at the biker bar next door to Dan's house, you'd be like, well, knowing that doesn't help me in any way.
Yeah.
But
I'm not
going to go bust it up. Yeah, it's over by the time you hear it.
Yeah. Well, I've got nothing else, man.
Yeah, that was it was a shorty in 2 parts.
A shorty but a goodie.
Interrupted by us accidentally turning off the thing. Started with anal bleeding and went down from there.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, look, I mean, if any of our weirdos would like to share their Yeti facts, they can find us at 1 Foot at the Grave. 1 Foot at the Grave? What the fuck are we Oh, my land.
I almost made it through without that.
1 Foot in the Grave podcast.weebly.com. They can also find us on Facebook at 1 Foot in the Grave, and Instagram at 1 Foot in the Grave, and on Twitter, True Crime Bros. So you can find us in all those places. The links are in the description section below. And thanks for listening.
Oh, one more quick point. Dad has a great murder story that he wants to tell. So we'll have actual pugwash murder. Yep.
Oh, the milkman?
No, even better. So maybe stay tuned for that one.
Stay tuned. Bye.
Yep. See you next time.